Hi everyone, welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. My name is Eileen. I'm co-hosting tonight with Jeannie. Say hi, Jeannie.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Hi. So it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and tonight we have the honor of having 3 breast cancer survivors with us and also a family member to share their stories, what their experiences were, and how they got through and remained so positive. So I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kate, and I was diagnosed in 2014, and I'm doing well.
I'm Kathy. I was diagnosed last November on my birthday. Yay.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
I'm Lori, and I was diagnosed in 2012.
My name is Kristen. I'm Laurie's sister, and I didn't have breast cancer, but I had endometrial cancer, and I'm an 8-year survivor. I was diagnosed in 2010.
Thank you all for coming and sharing your story. I want to talk about a few statistics that I have first. So, about 1 in 8 U.S. women, that's 12.4%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. In 2018, an estimated 2,66, oh my goodness, I can't talk tonight. 266,120 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S. And there will be 2,550 new cases of invasive breast cancer in men in 2018. So this not only impacts women, it also impacts men. So let's talk a little bit about how you found out. How did you find out that you had breast cancer?
I was doing a self-exam in the shower, and I found something that seemed or felt unright to me, so I made an appointment with my primary care doctor and moved forward from there.
So prior to that, did you do, so you said you were doing a self-exam, so was that something you did on a regular basis?
No, it wasn't. It was just, I was like, I should do this. And I did. I was like, this does not feel right. I also have neurofibromatosis, which has tumors that grow inside and outside the body, which makes it complicated sometimes because you feel something that's supposed to or not supposed to be there. You don't know what it is. And so when I initially felt that, I thought that it was just one of my fibromas and it wouldn't really be a big deal.
Had you had mammograms before that?
Yes.
You had, and there was nothing ever detected.
Any pain? No pain. No pain.
So, Kathy?
I was also in the shower washing. I wasn't doing an exam. I just happened to feel something that didn't feel right. So I thought it was like PMS symptoms. You get like lumpy a little. And that came and went. Then I thought it was maybe a cyst because I've had that before. But it was hard and it wasn't going down after a couple of days. So I also called my primary, went in, had an ultrasound. Then I had to get a biopsy and then boom, boom, boom.
So did you have mammograms before then? You did, and nothing was detected.
I started mammograms before 40 because of the cysts.
Yep.
And that mammogram, my annual, was about 6 months prior. I even had my physical a month, not even a month before, but they didn't do an exam there. And then thank God I felt it when I did, because I caught it before it got too bad.
And same thing, no discomfort or anything? You just found it
No,
by
they say if
accident?
it's sore, they usually say if you feel pain that it's a cyst, more likely than, because you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
But it was like a hard lump that wouldn't move, almost like felt like there was like maybe like an acorn or something stuck in there.
Nodule or something.
Yeah. Yep.
I went for my annual GYN exam and went for my mammogram. As a matter of fact, mine you couldn't even feel because my GYN gave me a breast exam in my exam, and she didn't feel it. And I went home, and the next morning I got a call from radiology, and they said, there's something we want to take another look. Can you come in? And I said, I'm camping. I'm like, she says, well, when are you coming back? And I said, not till next Sunday. She said, can you come in on Monday? And I said, no, I'm just coming back from vacation. I need to let my boss know. And I went, she says, how about Tuesday? And I didn't think anything about the urgency about getting right back, because I just thought, you know, mammograms, they find things that they say and they make you come back, and it's normal. So I kind of brushed it off and went that Tuesday, and she said, well, the radiologist wants to do an ultrasound. And I said, okay, there's something. We still don't know what it is, so, you know, stay calm. And we had the ultrasound, and she said, the radiologist said, if you don't hear from your doctor by noon tomorrow, call her. She will have the results. And that was it, and it just went full speed ahead after that. But there was no pain, no detection, no nothing, nothing.
So what was your first thought when you were diagnosed? What were you thinking? What was your reaction and response?
I had been previously diagnosed with cancer before. I had a malignant brain tumor, and so I kind of was sort of in a haze a little bit, I would say. I was like, okay, so here we go again. I'm kind of a distant type feeler, so
Yeah.
that was about the extent of it.
What about you, Kathy?
Disbelief and shock. And then kind of like, it figures, because, you know, I have no family history, anything. I'm the first one. And a lot of aunts on both sides, and never had any issues, so.
Was there a history in your family?
No history of breast cancer. Nothing like that.
What about you, Larry?
There's no family history of breast cancer, just cancer all with that have a common factor, a common gene factor in it. My first thought was, all right, give me what you got. My kids and my grandkids are off limits, God. We can get through this no matter what, and you can give me everything, but my kids and my grandchildren are off limits. And as long as we keep that agreement, we're good. And that's just, like I said, I just went full speed ahead after that.
So when you were diagnosed, did you get one opinion? Did you get two opinions on your?
I kind
treatment?
of trusted the doctors. My doctor had called, because I had called to find out what the results were of the ultrasound, and she says, we have an appointment for you with Dr. Monica De Silva, and she's going to see you. Their office is going to, you can call their office, they're expecting your call. And I made the appointment. Dr. De Silva was exactly what I needed. She's calming, she's reassuring. She had her thoughts about what treatment was going to be, which didn't originally agree with mine, but she was exactly what I needed, and I think she's like one of the best around.
What about you, Kathy?
I actually had a lot of trust in my surgeon, Dr. Chung. She's excellent. She's doing all top-notch surgery and everything, so I trusted the biopsy. I also had a little bit of a suspicion because when I had my ultrasounds, I had ultrasounds before because I had cysts before, and it didn't look the same. So even though I was shocked that it was yes, I kind of deep down, I think I knew that it wasn't just a cyst, it was something else.
And both your doctors are local, or was that like?
My doctor's local.
Yeah, mine has an office in Fall River and an office in Dartmouth. She's really good, South Coast.
I was treated at Mass General Hospital, where all of my other doctors and surgeons are for various reasons, and it went very quickly from my primary care to the Avon Breast Clinic in Mass General, which is fantastic, and that's where I had my ultrasounds, and then I took the pieces as well, and then very quickly within 3 weeks I was scheduled for surgery.
So what type of treatment did you decide on with your doctor?
So my surgeon recommended that I have a double mastectomy due to the type of cancer that I had. So I put faith in Mass General, as I always do when they do anything, and followed their thoughts. So I have a double mastectomy. I elected not to have reconstruction, and I have prosthetics.
What did you?
I was recommended to have a partial mastectomy because it looked like it was contained in that area, and when they did the surgery, within a month of that, I had clear margins, so that was good. But then I had to have chemo. I had a test which is called an oncotype test, and basically tells you your recurrence risk. And mine was very high. The type of cancer I had was grade 3, so it was a high recurrence rate and aggressive, so I had to have chemo and radiation.
I chose to have I wanted the bilateral mastectomy. My surgeon initially said, go with, as she called it, breast conservation surgery. And my mother said, is that a lumpectomy? And she said yes, and she said, followed by chemo and radiation, the statistics are basically the same. And it's not as drastic of a measure. And I said, oh no, we're getting rid of both of them. This is not a hotel, it's not coming back. And she said, well, let's see what we're dealing with first. And so she had sent me for MRI after I had had the biopsy, and she said, there's a spot on the right side. And I said, excuse me? We were talking about the left, and she said, no, there's a spot on the right side we want to take another look at, so we're going to do an ultrasound biopsy again. And they had the coordinates from the MRI as to where to look, and they couldn't find it. So she sent me for an MRI biopsy, and when that came back as a same cancer, more aggressive strain, she said, no, I agree with you, we're going with the mastectomy. I did choose reconstruction. Don't know if I would do that again, but my surgeon was fabulous, and he still is, but it was more involved, For me, a mastectomy was more mental than physical. I mean, I woke up with shoulder pain, but the rest of me was numb, so there was no pain anywhere else. But the reconstruction was definitely more involved. So
you, sorry.
I was just gonna ask them, did you do radiation?
I didn't have to do radiation and chemo. My oncologist called me a week before Thanksgiving and said I wanted to. She called at 7 o'clock at night, and of course the phone rings, and I see the number, and I'm like, oh, no doctor calls you this time with good news. And she says, I just got all your results in. She says, you don't need chemo and radiation. She says, we got everything. And I was like, yes. You know, called my grandson, I'll be at your house for Christmas. I'll be at your house for Christmas, because that was like up in the air, whether I would be able to do that again. But
So can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
Actually, it's Kristen, with her being your sister, does it make you nervous that you may get breast cancer? Have you ever had cancer, or?
I've had endometrial cancer. I was actually diagnosed in 2010. And I was the first one out of it's me and my 2 sisters, so I'm one of 3 girls. And I was the first one that was diagnosed. I had endometrial cancer. And when she was going through hers, I was just trying to be the support person, because my family was a big support system for me too.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was,
I found it harder to hear when she called me and said she had cancer. I hung up the phone, I was bawling my eyes out.
it's
And
shock.
It was different.
It's shock.
from me.
We all go and get regular checkups, regular exams. I think that's why we were fortunate to catch stuff early. I stress to people all the time, know your body, go to the doctors, get your exams, get your physicals, because it's something that doesn't have to take you. You can, you can survive. You can live. You can fight through this, and you can, with good prevention, and you can get on and go, go with it. And
Now, you said you're one of 3? 3 sisters. Is she?
She's fine.
She's fine.
She's totally fine.
Yep, our other sister's fine.
Yep.
But again, we all go
We
for
go on every year.
all our doctor's visits are, yearly checkups are. When I was undergoing my treatments, I was on every 3 months. So I was every 3 months with the doctors over at Women and Infants were my oncologists that took care of myself. And then it was 2 years, every 3 months with them, and then it was, because that's when you're high risk. And so then after that, until I got to the 5-year mark, it was every 6 months with Women and Infants and every 6 months with my regular doctor. So just that constant, being in the doctor's hands and always getting the checkups, and I think it helps. And I think more people should be more aware, not only for your, for what you're going through, but for your next generation. Fortunately for us, with our diagnosis, it's in our family gene. Somewhere along the line, we have like the Lynch syndrome, which is in our family gene. So what helps is our children are able to go for checkups and get colonoscopies and get, you know,
Things are
mammograms.
approved easier
Where
by your
it's-
insurances to
where
get that
it's
prior
impro-
approval
yes.
when there's a family history or there's a genetic
Yes.
history. The insurances are less likely to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's just going forward with everything that, you know, you're doing, and certain things need to be done earlier than what protocol is. You know,
Yes.
I have to honestly say, the new protocols for just your pap smears being every 2 years, I cringe every time she says, well, we don't need to do it this year, and it's like,
And that was my next question.
Yeah.
You guys must kind of have more anxiety coming up, you know, when you're doing another exam or like a precaution measure. You guys must, you know, I thought I had issues when I go to the doctor, you know, I mean, you guys must really have anxiety when you gotta
Well,
do another checkup.
I think you should, like, I think some of these doctors you should go more than, you know, your every 2 years for your, you know, your mammograms or your, you know, your pap smears or even your colonoscopies is what, you get one at 45 or 50 and then another one not till 10 years later with some of this insurance.
That's not good.
It's crazy. I know with mine, I went every year to my regular OBGYN, and she honestly said, had I waited
Right.
another year, I would have been in a different situation than what I ended up with.
I mean, a lot can happen in a
Yep.
two-year
Yep.
span.
well, as
Yep.
they say with mammograms, the cancer can be there for 10 years prior to it being able to be detected by a mammogram.
Especially invasive ductal.
And I had my right side, if it wasn't for the doctor ordering an MRI, they would have never known it. I would have been going through, I would have probably followed her
Got one
her
side
protocol,
done.
her plan of
Yeah,
doing the
one side.
lumpectomy and the chemo and radiation. And then
6 months
a
later,
year
you
later
would've-
or whatever, been going down that road again. And like I said, I thank God that she didn't take the ultrasounds.
I don't know if you have an energy.
The,
Yeah, she
MR,
did
the
the
MRI is
MRI.
pretty routine after though, because I had that after my initial diagnosis. They sent me for an MRI to make sure my other breast was clear.
Well, I only went because she wanted to find out the exact location to see how close to the chest wall it was, because that would determine whether we went with the mastectomy on the left side or whatever, or the lumpectomy. And it wasn't until like when it came back that there was something there, and she sent me for the ultrasound, and they said, well, we can't find it, there's nothing there. And she said, no, we're gonna do an MRI biopsy. And I went in, they told me what to expect. They put me in the machine, pulled me out, pulled me in, and they said, okay, we're gonna get started. I'm like, you can see it? She said, oh yeah,
goes
we can see it. And I'm
fast.
like, oh damn. Because they had told me, there was a possibility that it, wouldn't show up, that it was just hormones when I went for the first one, and
Right.
there was nothing actually there to, so if they told me there was nothing, don't be alarmed. And I was thinking, okay, we're good, they couldn't find it before, they're not gonna find it
Right.
again. And they said, oh no, we see it, and I was like, that's
I
not
have
supposed to
a pretty
happen.
clear memory of when they did the
The biopsy?
biopsies. Do you have a pretty good
Oh,
memory of that
oh, yeah,
claw?
yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
I was wide awake, yeah.
Yeah, I was wide awake as well.
And then right after they do it, they do a mammogram.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're already sore, and mine was in one of those tough locations. It was practically laying on my
Laying on
chest
your
wall,
chest.
and it was like in between.
Yeah.
So mammogram wouldn't really have detected it, because even my post-biopsy mammograms, they had to do 7 images to see it. So it's real
Wow.
important to do
Yes.
those self-exams.
Yeah.
And even if you're not
Really?
regular about doing self-exams,
Yep.
just be aware when
That's
you're
what,
washing
yeah.
and stuff.
Be
'cause you'll
aware.
feel it.
Be aware of your body. Early detection. It makes a huge difference. It really, really does. I tell that to people all the time. If something just doesn't seem right, or your monthly time doesn't seem like it's normal this time, or you're doing an exam and you're just washing yourself and something just doesn't feel right, go get it checked. It's early detection.
Saves lives.
It does.
It does.
It really,
Absolutely.
really does. I tell people all the time. It's
One
such
of
a
my nurses said, actually, when you're soapy like that, you can actually feel better than when you're just doing a self-exam. That's why they give you those shower cards to do it in the shower.
yeah,
So-
yeah. That's a good
So
idea.
Kate, did you end up with doing radiation or anything like that?
So I took the chemo pill and had radiation in the hospital.
I wanted to go back to something Laurie said. You said initially, right away, you were like, nope, I'm having a double vasectomy.
Mm-hmm.
How quick was that thought of?
And I had always, because cancer always ran in the family and breast cancer is pretty common, I always had said that if I was ever diagnosed that it was going to be a double mastectomy, I was getting rid of them. They weren't important. My life was more important. I got 7 grandchildren to watch grow up. That was my priority, and no matter what was going to happen, boobs weren't everything. you know, and that was it, you know, that was it. And so I went into her and I said, we're doing a mastectomy, and she's like, no, let's see what we're dealing with first. And like I said, she was calming, but when she came back and she says, I agree with you, I said, okay, let's book it, let's get it done. I mean, I didn't give it a lot of thought. I couldn't let cancer get in my head.
I think that's it.
And that was the thing for me.
You have to just...
Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what we need to do.
Step B?
Let's go.
You just go into fight mode.
Yeah.
I don't want to, give me the statistics after we're all done. You know what I mean? I don't need, what do I got to do?
That, if I was diagnosed with breast cancer, that would be my thought. But being, you know, who I am, my breasts really don't matter to me, you know. But for, you know, and I'm going to quote this, for a woman, you know, because I really don't care about my body like that, that has to be hard. I mean, are you married?
I am married.
Did that bother you?
It bothers me more now.
It bothers you more? Then it was like,
Then
who
it was
cares?
just I don't care. My thing was just get it
Just
out.
get it out.
Do whatever you got to
But
do
you
to
had
get rid of it.
reconstruction,
I did
and it
have
bothers you
recon-
now.
Yes.
Well, because the feeling goes away.
There's like no feeling.
Yeah.
You know, there's no feeling at all. And like I had to also take now into consideration that my husband,
Right.
he's got fake for the rest of his life, you know.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'd rather take fake and
Yes.
have you.
Well, sometimes.
Well, you know, let's go with
I'm
it.
sure you'd rather.
The other thing too, with having a double mastectomy, you said you had one too?
I did.
You have to still be aware and still feel, because even though you had a double mastectomy, some of that breast tissue is always still there, and you could always still get it back, unfortunately. Like,
Well,
it can still come back.
From what I've been told by my plastic surgeon, Dr. De Silva doesn't leave very much left
But
behind.
it doesn't have to be a
And that's
lot,
true.
right?
But because
I just don't want people to think automatically, I have a double mastectomy, it'll never come back.
oh,
That's
well,
Yeah,
not
I
the
wasn't
case.
aware of that. I would have thought.
It's 100%,
No,
like, you can still get it.
It was, and that was my original thinking,
Yeah.
like before I was diagnosed, but I know now that that's not true.
A lot of people think
But I
that.
also have the silicone implants,
Yep.
which is what they recommend for people that do reconstruction, because there's no tissue there to support the saline. So I have to go for an MRI every 2 years. And then from what I just learned now is every 10 years, they should be replaced. Originally, it was once you put them in, you're fine, you're done, just go for your MRIs every 2 years. And now they're saying, well, now every 10 years we want to replace them. It's like,
My decision to just do the partial was, number one was the doctor, because I was thinking, oh, I should just do it, but she really brought me down and said, no, it's only in one, the MRI didn't show any other sign. It's contained, and then me and my husband discussed it, and just why have such a life-altering surgery if I didn't need it? And I mean, I did have to have chemo, 5 months of chemo, 2 different types. I went completely bald from having hair down to my butt my whole life. Completely bald, which is hard. I mean, you think losing your boobs is hard. Losing all your hair is very hard. And then I had radiation, which, you know, some people breeze through it. It was horrible for me. I had 3rd-degree burns in an area of it because of the location, because of the boost. Not everybody gets that. It was just like little things like that. I'm still having complications from it 2 months later. And then now I'm on tamoxifen for at least 5 years, maybe 10.
And how many times are you tested now?
Every 6 months.
Every 6
And then
months?
just about every doctor I see will kind of feel around and,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like half of Fall River has seen them. I could just probably.
I haven't, I live in Fall River.
Johnny open in the front. I went for a colonoscopy and they said Johnny open in the back. I'm like, wow, that's the first time I've
Yeah.
heard that in 6 years.
Those little things make me
Yeah.
so happy.
Imagine that.
I'm like, okay.
It's a whole new world.
So Kate, I wanted to ask you, you said that the doctor's first recommendation was double mastectomy.
Yes.
So was that what your first thought was? Or did you even have a thought about what it was going to be?
So I am maybe not that much of a rare breed, but I don't really like try to process those things. You know, like the doctor, it's ironic that that was one of the times that I went to an appointment by myself.
Really?
Yes, and so the doctor gave this sort of information, which was nothing of what I was expecting to hear, and I was like, oh, this is fabulous. I have to go, you know, share this with my family, and that's not really going to be the best conversation. And for me, I sort of let everyone else be the big stressors and worriers, and because it's just not me to be a big stress ball. Like, I was like, okay, well, you're worried, you're worried. I'm not worried. Like, you can worry for me, and I'm just gonna
Go into fight mode.
Yep.
So you
I'm
just
just
go
gonna-
head on, doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
Nope.
what happens,
Yep.
what needs to be done is being done.
Yep.
I think after that initial
Yeah.
shock wears off, I think everybody
Sort
goes
of
into
just-
that
Yeah.
mode because you have to.
Yeah, I sort of don't think
Yeah.
about
Everybody.
other things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I
I
just
just
sort
want
of
it gone,
plow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it
Do
takes,
whatever
you're just
it
gonna
is
do
to
it.
get rid of
What's
it.
step B?
Because I
Yep.
didn't want
It
that.
So you
doesn't-
could just go with the plan, you weren't like up Googling stuff or, you know, medical websites or.
Well, sure.
Like, that would be me, I'm all
Die
right.
tomorrow.
That was up at 3 a.m. on WebMD or
Okay.
something
That was the
crazy.
first thing the
That's the worst
oncologist
thing to
told me.
do,
That was
yeah.
the first thing the oncologist said to me. She says, do not
Right.
go
It
home
scares the shit out
and
of you if you
Google
do.
this.
And what do we
And
do?
don't do breast ex, don't try feeling around for it, because you're only gonna irritate yourself and make yourself worse. She says, but unless you have somebody that can decipher what you're reading on all those sites specifically for you, she said, don't do it.
Yeah.
She said, don't
I'd
do
be
it.
like, I have
Yeah,
a lump
listen.
in my arm, I felt one in my leg. Yeah, I'd be like, you know, just one in my
The end is tomorrow.
I'm dying.
The end is
That'd be me.
tomorrow.
I think everybody does that a little though. You feel an ache and pain and you
Yeah.
wonder did it metastasize or whatever, but you
Yeah,
have to
that-
just kind of like, just not let every little thing get to you. It's hard, but you have to kind of, because otherwise you'd be off the deep end, jumping off the
Yeah.
Braga Bridge.
I
Well,
think
don't know if you
it's
can
normal
anymore
that
because of
it,
the things,
I don't know, but
It's pretty
I,
high gates now.
Yeah.
Since.
I think
you
it's
can-
normal for everybody
Very determined.
though too, and it is okay to have your breakdown moment. You know, I mean, just to kind of go through it and
Right.
get it out of your system, because, I mean, you want to fight it and you are going to fight it, you know, and so what's plan B? But sometimes it does over, you know, consume your brain and your mind and your body, and you do have that breakdown moment. It's okay. Don't think you're weak. Don't think you're not going to be a fighter and get through it. You are still going to be that fighter. You're still going to get through it. But it is okay to have that moment where
It took
you're
me a
like-
long time to have that moment. I didn't break down until over 2 months later.
Yeah.
When I found out I was needing chemo and gonna lose my hair.
Yeah.
That was my final straw. I was like, enough.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
already cut out
You
half.
have-
You already
Yeah.
cut out half of my breast.
Yeah.
I'm going through all of this, you know.
And it's
then,
okay to have that
Yeah.
because you're still going to be that fighter.
And I had to be like strong because my siblings did not take it well. I'm one of the older siblings, and none of them really took it well. So I had to kind of be strong in front of all of them as well. Plus, I have 2 sons who did not take it well. It's like they tried to be brave in front of me, but I know that they
You
didn't
said
take
you
it
have
well.
2 sons?
2.
Do they get tested for breast cancer?
Not yet. I did the BRCA testing, the genetic testing. I was negative for that, but they are aware, like self-exams,
Yeah.
and you know, because it's now in their family history.
'Cause
But
what is
other
it?
than that, I've had a couple of aunts that had cervical issues, but nobody in my family has ever had breast
Are
cancer.
your sons nervous about breast
No,
cancer?
not really. Being a boy, it's like a 1%, 1 to
There's
2%
what,
risk.
440?
Well, it's 1 in 1,000
Yeah.
men who.
It's very rare, but they do, I tell them, you know, just be aware, because they have also muscular tissue, so it would show a little more.
Yep.
If you feel anything abnormal, just, you know, let them know right away, because I wouldn't, you know.
My oldest son had a cyst removed from his breast, and I said to him, I said, you know, keep a close eye on that.
Yeah.
And now make sure your doctors all know that there's now a family history of breast cancer. You know, like we had discussed about, you know, our family with a long history, and we always said, oh, it was my grandmother's sister, it was my grandmother's sister, and it seemed so far away. And then when she got it, she says, you know, because I have a granddaughter, you know, she said, I'm grandma's sister now.
Right.
And it brought that right in.
not as far as
You know,
it
you know, grandma's
No.
sister seemed so far
So
away, now all of a
far,
sudden
yeah.
it was like, oh wow,
When
she's
you
Yeah.
grandma's
become
sister.
that,
I'm
it's
the
not
sister,
that
yeah,
long.
because you
It's
look at your
really
family
close.
history and think, oh, it's way down the road, and
Right.
it really isn't, you know, genetics really can pull you right
Right.
back in and bring it close.
All right, I want to say hi to, let's see who's watching. Hi, Miles. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Brittany. So Brittany says, you ladies are beautiful. Thank you for sharing your stories. And we also want to take a minute to hear a message from Mark Santos, Bristol County Clerk of Courts.
Hi, I'm Mark Santos, your Bristol County Clerk of Courts. One of my office's many responsibilities, proudly, is the naturalization of qualified aliens as American citizens. If re-elected, I will continue to uphold the rights of all people in Bristol County. and to make sure your Superior Court works for you. I'm Mark Santos, your Clerk of Courts, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 6th.
Paid for by the Santos Committee.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your most significant memory of the whole process. So, who wants to start?
I can start with that.
Okay, please.
My most significant memory is when I had, after the surgery and I was home and I had the drains, I thought that I was a superhero and that I could get up and vacuum. And
Can you explain what that is? So,
Certainly.
so people might not know what
So
a drain is. Or
when
what
you
that looks
have
like.
the surgery, whether it's single or double mastectomy, and you're home, they have drains that are inserted into your breast tissue to catch any excess fluid. And so they are sewed into your skin and it naturally sucks the fluid out and is held in a little capsule that you then have to empty every couple of hours. I have 4 and I don't follow directions well.
Really, Kate?
That's surprising.
I know, shocking.
Very shocking.
And I waited for my wife to go to work and I attempted to vacuum. So I was pushing the vacuum and I leaned forward with the vacuum and all 4 drains fell at once.
Ouch.
And I have never in my entire life felt such searing pain. I saw white light. I then was in a lot of pain and a lot of trouble because then I had to call my wife and tell her I was hurting. And that was
Did you call 911?
I didn't. I might have had to for my wife because she was going to come murder me, but she didn't. But I was definitely in a lot of trouble and I was definitely in a lot of pain, and that is my very clear memory, most significant memory from the entire ordeal.
So, did you have to go, obviously you had to go back to the
I did,
doctors?
and they wanted to know what I was doing, and my wife was like, "Go ahead, tell them what you're doing, tell them." And so
I'm sure.
So then I got in trouble twice.
More concerning though, did you finish the rug?
I didn't, and it bothered me.
I bet you also got a babysitter.
I did.
She
You got
wasn't
a
leaving you
babysitter?
alone.
We were not left unattended.
It was not left unattended for then like 2 more weeks because I couldn't be trusted. Accurate.
So most significant, there's not really one moment other than when I found out I was gonna lose my hair. Because I was at work and I had a radiation appointment set up and it was gone. And I called like the radiation, why is my appointment gone? And they wouldn't tell me. I said, look, if I need to have chemo, I just need to know. I can't handle the unknown. I just need to know so I can prepare for it. And come to find out, my surgeon called me and it was that. So I was, 35 miles from home, basket case stage, driving home in hysterical tears, calling people and they weren't answering. And I'm like, so finally my mother answered and I just bawled like through Providence traffic. That was pretty big.
So, now a lot of people don't know this because I really didn't, but there's a difference between chemo and radiation.
Absolutely. Chemo's infused into your bloodstream. I actually have a port right here. If you can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's like sticks out, but it goes right into my veins and they access it through that. I numb it. I'm hoping to get it out soon. And I had 4 rounds of adriamycin and cytoxin, which is the combination that made me lose my hair. They call it the red devil because it's actually red. And I think because it takes your hair, everybody thinks it's the devil. And then after that, I had 12 rounds of Taxol. So over 5 months, I did 16 rounds of chemo and then 30 rounds of radiation after that. Radiation, it looks almost like an x-ray machine, really big, awkward looking machine. And depending on your position, I had to lay flat on my back with my breast exposed and 3 to 4 people at any given time in the room.
Modesty
And you're
goes
just-
out the window.
Oh yeah, and then you're like, very attractive and your shame is just gone at that
Right.
point, And some people get very upset with that. I just kind of push through.
Yeah, you have to kind of put that
You have to
the
put
back.
that
Yeah, I
aside.
mean, it is what it is, you know, at that point, how many doctors and interns and nurses and whoever else saw it, so what's a couple more radiologists at this point?
Right.
And then when you do get, if you do end up needing radiation, you have to really be sure to moisturize it and all that, to try to prevent the burning. I was an exception to the rule because I had to have a boost box for all of my treatments, which is not normal. That's exception to the rule. Most people breeze through radiation. And chemo too, with the drugs now, anybody that does have it, and I'm hoping all of us doing this helps one person, because then it's worth it. Everybody has this big fear. The drugs that they give you now for the nausea and anti-nausea meds, it's good. I mean, I did get nauseous, I did throw up, you know, a couple of times, but it wasn't like I was, like years ago, you'd be at the toilet
Right.
all night like you were drunk all night or something.
Yeah.
And it was not like that. I had a couple of episodes where I was really sick, I was nauseous and heartburn, but the meds helped a lot. And your appetite's shit, but, sorry.
It's okay. You can
Nice,
say that.
Kathy.
Did you have problems with
We knew somebody
like,
was gonna do it.
your pain medication and then having, so I had a real difficult time with constipation.
Oh, yeah,
I'll be
God.
really honest,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I didn't take
The-
much
the-
pain medication.
I was definitely taking pain medication after vacuuming.
No,
I was,
oh,
I was like, well, you're
yeah.
a little different.
Well, I did take more of it after the reconstruction, but only because, like, I honestly, it took 11 days before I thought I was gonna survive. Like, I just thought, oh, this is just.
That's one of the biggest side effects of chemo though, is the constipation. It's horrible. I didn't have a lot of pain meds through chemo and radiation.
I just
after
didn't like the way
surgery.
they made me feel, like
Yeah.
my head was gone. I was like, no, I need to have focus, and so I stuck with like the Tylenol and
Do you
Motrin.
regret the reconstruction?
I don't regret it.
Sorry.
It's just one of those things that I don't know if I would do it again. Knowing what I know now, it would be because it is, like I said, 11 days before I thought, okay, I'm going to survive. He came in to see me the next day, my plastic surgeon, and he says, how you doing? And I said, I'm dying. He says, well, we don't joke about things like that. I said,
I'm not joking.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. He says, I told you it was more involved. And I mean, he was honest. I mean, he told me it was more involved. But I figured, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, the mastectomy pain-wise was a 3. So if it's a 7, I'm good. I can handle it. Oh, it was 100. I was like, I was just, it was horrible.
Can I ask what type of reconstruction you had?
I had the expanders in, it's not, he created his own pocket
Yep.
to put the expanders in. We went through the fills and then took them out and put in.
So you didn't have to have the DIP flap or anything?
No.
So now, you said 10 years it's replaced?
10 years, they want you to replace them. I will probably have to do mine sooner because I had gained weight after and things got stretched out. So my implants will sometimes turn.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, that's the most I've been groped in a long time was when he had to flip it back the other way.
So is that something you're gonna do again, or you're just gonna say forget it?
No, I wasn't done with the reconstruction. I'm not where I want it to be.
Yeah,
But on the same token, my body was saying, enough with the surgeries, I've had enough. You know, this is, you know, it's not
Call it
where,
a
it's
day.
not what, from what I've seen that can be done,
right.
it's not close yet. And he wasn't fully satisfied with what was done so far because he wanted to keep going and finish it. And I was like, okay, I've had enough. There's been 5 surgeries in a short period of time. My body's, I mean, it was a 9-hour surgery for my mastectomy. It was an 6.5 hour surgery for the reconstruction. And then the implants and then changing them out, the expanders, taking out the expanders, putting in the implants, and more surgery. I had enough. I was done. And so,
So can I ask you a question
Yes.
that you so don't have to answer, but did you also have nipple reconstruction?
not yet, because I wasn't finished yet. We had talked about it.
That's very involved surgery.
Yes.
So I have.
Well, I actually was
tissue
kind of
here.
thinking of the 3D tattoos.
Yeah.
Is where I was going.
They have
Because-
stickers too that you can put on that look so real you can't even tell.
Well, some of the
Stickers,
tattoos
yeah.
that I've seen,
Stickers?
some of the tattoos that I've seen are like phenomenal.
Yeah, you can't even tell.
Are phenomenal. So I was like,
Yeah.
so like, and then I'd say, okay, who's gonna see it?
Yeah,
Me
and it's
my
not-
me, my husband, and my doctor. So, do I really want to put myself?
Yeah, but
through
if it makes you feel good, then
Yes.
All my mirrors now come from my.
just
hero.
get light.
All my mirrors are hero.
Yeah. Just get lidocaine and put that on first so you don't feel
The
anything.
lights go off.
Yeah, t-shirts stay on. It is what it is, you know. But it's just, you know, like one of my first memories was the day after my mastectomy. I was going home. I was not staying in the hospital. I was going home. And I got out of bed, and the doctor came in, she says, I'll be back in to talk with you. And I said, oh, I'm going to be ready because you're going to discharge me. She says, we'll see. And so I went in the bathroom, I'm getting dressed. I got my pants on, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm trying to put my jacket on, and I'm like, and I finally get the jacket on, and the drain's like a pin to you down here somewhere. And I zipped up my sweatshirt, and I looked, and there was like a longer mirror, and it looked like two boobs hanging down here. And I cracked up laughing. There was a nurse's aide in the room cleaning, and she says, are you okay? Are you okay? And I came out laughing, tears rolling down my face. She says, are you okay? And I said, this is what I look like at 90.
I was just going to say.
It was like flat with the boobs down here. And I'm like, she's like, and she started laughing. She's like, I apologize. I said, no. I said, if you can't laugh, you can't, it's going to get you. So it was just keep it humorous and keep it funny. And I was hysterical because all I could think was, this is what I would look like.
So as the sister,
Yes.
what was the most difficult for you? What part of this process was most difficult for you?
Just trying to be there. It wasn't difficult. We all pulled together to be there for her every day. We, one of the things my sister and I, my other sister, we did a basket for her with little gifts that she could open up on a daily basis, just to show that we're there, even if we weren't there. I mean, because our lives still go on and you're working, and but just for her, like little gifts that she could open up that she would think about us. They would get her mind off of things. We'd get her an outfit, something that was easy for her to just anything that was going to cheer her up. Yeah, anything that was going to cheer her up on a daily basis. We were there for her support system, which
I have since
we
taken that
enjoyed.
idea and have done it, paid it forward to a friend of mine's daughter was diagnosed, and another friend of mine was going through lung cancer, and I did the basket, and it's just every day you open up a surprise.
Little gifts, and it doesn't have to, it's not a bank breaker but it's just something that you wake up that next morning and you're feeling positive, like, I wonder what my next little gift is going to be. And so that's what we did. We put a big basket together, my other sister and I, and we just filled it with all little things. It could be a pin, it could be a keychain, it could be a scratch ticket, it could be
gift certificates to go out to eat we had to share, so I had to take them with me.
Yeah, and then there was group things, there was group events that we did, all of us together. And every so often our father would feel a little bit left out. We're all daddy's girls, and it was like, mom and the girls, it was a girls thing, so we could never do that. We did it, I think, one day, and our father was home bawling his eyes out, all upset that daddy's girls and our mom were out, so we included him in on everything.
I have to honestly say, my father did the driving, but my mother was the one that was with me for every appointment.
Oh, I'm sure.
She sat with me on her birthday, talking to the radiologist and oncologist, because they get you all prepared as to what you're going to experience and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case. And she was the one that was sitting with me, and my father be out in the waiting room. And he, how you doing? You okay? You okay? And yeah, they were amazing.
So who was your biggest support? What did that look like?
My wife was the one that was there all the time, every time.
Good or bad, even if she was drilling
When
you
I
out.
was good and when I was bad. And she never lost her cool with me. She never got mad at me. She just was like, gonna do that again? I don't think so. She was fantastic. Her humor and kindness and support was always there. And then my godmother, who also works at Mass General Hospital, because she knows people, was able to get in places and be there with me, and had an ability to check in on me every day when my wife couldn't because it was in Boston, and so she was a phenomenal support as well. Because my mom was not alive, so she was not able to.
Eileen,
Yes.
what are people saying?
Let's see. Well, there's this Yvonne Sylvia who says, hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
There's Elaine. Hi, Elaine. Elaine says, God bless you all for sharing such personal stories. Thank you for giving us a glimpse into the battles of breast cancer, sending prayers for your health and well-being.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And if people have any questions or show ideas, you can email me at Eileen, EILEEN, at sclgbtqnetwork.org. If you are interested in sponsoring the show, there is a Leo at New Bedford Guide that you can reach out to. He can give you all the information. I know there's something up on the screen right now, so you can see how to contact him. Again, it's Leo at New Bedford Guide. Let me see, do a time check. So we have a few more minutes left.
I want to share my support with my husband.
Yes.
He was phenomenal. Took every Tuesday off. That was my chemo day. Went to all my appointments. My good friend Sherry, a few of you know Sherry, she was always there. And then I also had a cousin who took me, because when you have chemo, some of them, you have to go back the next day and have an injection. And she was taking me for those. I didn't want my husband to take a whole day off for that. So,
That's
yeah, excellent. I had 3 people that were really up, 100% there for me.
Did you find it in general for, I know Kate, this really doesn't apply to you, but for sharing this with your husband, was it an easy conversation, a difficult conversation?
I mean, for me it was, because we talk about everything.
Okay.
And honestly, even when I felt the lump, I showed him, and I guess he was my first, second opinion. And he thought it was nothing. So I'm glad I ignored it and went anyway, because it was something, so.
Do you think maybe he said it was nothing just to ease your mind?
I think that, but he also knew that I had a cyst before too. So,
okay.
Thinking, because I was, you make excuses for it.
Right.
And at the time that it happened, we were actually just back from Michigan. My father-in-law was getting set up with hospice because he had kidney and stomach cancer. So we had a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And I was also driving my father all over because he had prostate. So it was like a lot going on at the time, which he thought it was just like stress and stuff. But,
That is a lot.
yeah, it was a lot.
Me and my husband, we didn't talk much. My husband didn't know how to handle the diagnosis. But he kind of like took the same thing, whatever it takes to get rid of it, and be done with it. Let's get it out. Let's get going. And like I said, things like with the reconstruction now, I think about it more so now, rather than when I was going through it. I went through the reconstruction partially for him because, that's just part of life. But yet now I think this is what he's got, Half the time you can't feel the touch, so it's like, okay, big deal, No, for me it's nothing, But that's something he has to live with now too, so it is something that I think about now.
And what about you, Kate? Do you want to talk a little bit how your relationship, and did it impact your relationship? How did...
No, I mean, it didn't have any sort of significant negative impact. I mean, for me personally, I've always known my wife to be like a woman, so I felt kind of self-negative, I guess, about it, because I was taking away something that I knew was something my wife really liked. So that was hard, but on the opposite end of the scale, it was whatever you have to do to live, because breathing is much more important than anything else.
Absolutely, of course. So let's talk about lifestyle changes. So have you changed your life?
I don't vacuum anymore.
You don't. I like that lifestyle change.
Me too.
That wouldn't work if you were my wife.
I'm sure a lot wouldn't work.
That's another show.
Yes, a long one. So have you made any significant lifestyle changes that you want to talk about? Anything that...
I joined the Live Strong program at the YMCA, so anybody who's battling cancer or has battled cancer, they give you a 3-month membership free, and it's like an exercise program to try to get, because I've always been one that says, oh, I need to exercise, but never go. I'm determined. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, I actually went early today because of this. I go and I work out. So, diet, no.
I did change, I had to drop some weight because they tell you that weight is a factor. And I said, okay, well, that's something I do have control over. As far as exercise, I'm allergic to it.
Yeah.
So we do country and western line dance, and that's about the extent of my exercise.
That's good exercise.
Occasionally
though.
I'll
Do you
walk.
do it or sit and watch?
No, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
we
We do it. And then we
Burn
just
about 3
and then we
miles.
do the walks for to be
Yeah.
late for life and making strides. So
I did that Sunday.
I did too.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, Sherry
I was
said,
there.
I saw you.
Yeah, Sherry was there too.
But to go out and go join the gym, yeah, no, I break out in hives.
Yeah, I'm getting sick just thinking
Yeah,
about it.
me too. But I did change some of the weight because I did want to lose the weight, and like I said, now that I've lost some of it, I still got more to lose. I have to go back now and fix things because they're not right. But it's just all part of the factor that goes with, and like I said, the new changing that you got to swap them out every 10 years.
Basically, breast cancer is with you forever.
Always.
It is.
Never
But
leaves.
I think any cancer is with you.
when people say they worry about it all the time, I can
Even if you
honestly
get
say
over
I
it.
don't.
Right.
If it comes back, I'll cross the bridge when it comes back. But like people say, oh, every time you get this, you think about it. And I said, no, I don't put that in my, that's like I push it out of my head, because if I worry about it that much, it's going to take over me. And you can't let it get in your brain. You can't let it get into your thoughts.
Do you guys have different views and feelings towards life now than you did before you were diagnosed with
100%.
cancer?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Value it.
You value it more?
Life's too
Value
short.
it.
And a phone
And-
call can literally change your life. That phone call changes it. It changes everything.
I just think, don't live for tomorrow, live for today, big time. I was supposed to go to Alaska this year, and breast cancer put that on hold. As soon as I finish radiation and all that, I've been squirreling away money. I booked that trip. I'm going next August.
Good for you.
I was like, love it.
If you have any extra money,
Right.
I'll join you.
And we're doing the 2 weeks. It's like I've been saving for over a year.
Yep.
But I've also been, my company luckily offers short and long-term disability. So I'm actually still on leave.
Yep.
My fatigue levels are so ridiculous. I can't even do my job is a 10-hour day, 5 days a week. I just can't. It's too much. So luckily, they give it, and they give it to you for up to 2 years. So I'm not rushing myself.
Right.
When I'm better, I'll go. If I'm not better, I won't go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Day by day.
Yeah.
So that brings up a good point. So you feel like you were supported by your employee?
Yeah, to a
Your
point, yeah.
employer, I'm sorry,
Yep.
by your
Yep.
employer. So did anyone have a different experience where they felt like they were not supported? I'm not asking to throw your employer under the bus. I'm
No.
just asking
No.
if you
So as
felt
of tomorrow, you'll be
supported.
unemployed.
No.
But
No, they were
I
good.
was out on the FML leave,
Yeah.
and I had 13 weeks. After 13 weeks, they told me straight out that my job could be up for a permanent hire, and that if I wanted to return, I would be able to return if they had a place open for me. Like I said, and then that kind of weighed on me, because I thought if I went through chemo to work in a doctor's office where people are coming in sick and going through chemo, that's probably not, and I watched a friend do it, that's probably not one of the stronger things I could do for myself. And so it was something that I really kind of weighed with, what am I going to do if I do need chemo and radiation and it goes longer than the 13 weeks? I have no idea. And fortunately for me, I went back on the 13th week, but I was dragging. It was, I had to move everything closer, because like the reaching all day long for the phone, and the computer keyboard, my arms would be hurting.
Well, plus, they take your lymph node, your sentinel lymph
Yep.
nodes out when you have
Yeah.
any kind of breast surgery.
They,
And
yeah,
that-
for mine.
Like, you have less range of motion. I know I only have it on the right side, but I have a lot less range of motion on that side. And you have risk for lymphedema for your whole life. It's like,
I did.
yeah.
I had that.
You had to have your lymph nodes out?
Yeah, I had to have 18 of them out.
Well,
18 of my lymph nodes were out, and I ended up having a little bit of lymphedema. I went for lymphedema therapy for about a year and a half. I had to go for lymphedema therapy.
I know my range of motion is definitely not there. I feel it when I try to stretch my arm. Even just, I was reaching up today for the weight thing at the gym, and one arm's much better than the other, so. But I'm still, like,
Yeah.
really new out of
I
it.
have full range. Like I said, my father was the great nurse at home who made me do the exercise and crawling up the wall till your arm's straight up and you're dying, and then you bring it down real
Right.
quick. And he, you know, they had me moving, and I mean, I didn't overdo it, but I did do it, so I do have full range of motion.
Right.
I don't have full strength.
No.
You know, I can pick things up. I can't like push things up, pull things up. It's a different way of lifting, and then things feel a lot different when you don't have those muscles where they used to be.
I find that you have just like a new normal that you have to adjust to. And I'm still trying to adjust. I mean, you guys are a lot further out than me, so, but it takes a while to get that new normal under.
I don't get that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm doing great considering, you know, the 5 months of chemo and 6 weeks of radiation, that knocks you on your butt. And I've always been a go person.
And you have more hair than me now.
Right, I do. I mean, I look like a cue ball. That was not fun, but the difference in, I forgot my train of thought. That's chemo brain still. It's just, you know, the energy levels and stuff, once they come back, it'll be better. But it's been a long road since November 15th, and now we're in October, almost a year. Yeah.
Prior to my surgery, I used to do CrossFit, and I don't have the energy level to do that kind of thing anymore. I do yoga, aerial and acro yoga, but still yoga. I don't have the energy for CrossFit.
4 minutes and we'll see if
That's okay. We only have a few minutes left. I want to ask, before we close out, if you have any advice or statement you'd like to say to people about, you know, self-exams, breast cancer awareness, anything that you'd like to say in closing up.
Make your appointment if you have
Early detection.
Early detection.
Early detection
makes the difference.
Yes. In any cancer, I feel early detection.
My Facebook, and I warn everybody the end of September, okay, October's coming, so there's something pink every day, and I call it keeping it pink. And it's like, you know, go for your exam, go for your exam. Have you gone yet? You know, men and women, you're not exempt. You know, and just because you're a man doesn't mean that you can't get this. And every day there's some, you know, sometimes it's like the funny, like the dogs with the big balloons that says, go get your puppies checked.
Yeah.
And I do keep something humorous, but bottom line is go get checked, because 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed. And you look at your family and you say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 1. There's still 12. So that means somebody in the next group's already going to get it. So
My thing is, mammograms are great. You have to do them 100%. I'm on board with that, but don't just trust that. Do both.
Yeah.
Don't just trust one over
Early
the other,
detection.
because a lot of people will have invasive ductal and it will not show on your mammogram.
And if they're following you for dense breasts or thick breasts or cystic breasts,
Fibrous.
ask for an MRI. Just
Mammogram.
versus a baseline, a quick check, because that can make a difference of it being diagnosed as cancer versus the fibroid cyst that they think that they've been looking at through the mammogram.
With the ultrasound too, if it's a cyst, they can tell because it shows like layers of fluid. And if it turns out to be like a solid mass, that's when they'll turn around and do a biopsy. So a lot of times you can rule out and not have to have the MRI just by having ultrasound after the mammogram if it shows something.
And I would recommend that you should trust yourself, because
Yeah.
you know your body.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be always your greatest advocate.
Correct. Trust your own knowledge.
Fight for whatever you feel like you need.
Yeah. Early detection.
I'd like to add something,
Go ahead, Jeannie.
that you're not alone.
Absolutely.
People think they're alone and you're not
Nope.
alone.
Nope.
It becomes like a sisterhood. Anybody that's gone through this, there's
I think
phenomenal.
any cancer,
Any
I think
cancer,
you feel,
you're
I
not
think you
alone.
feel,
Right.
yeah, there's a bond.
Yeah.
There's a bond.
So I want to thank you all for being here, for sharing very personal information, your personal story. I'm honored to be sitting with you, and I can't appreciate enough your positivity. There was laughter here tonight, which I did not think would happen. So thank you, thank you. We were kind of laughing at Jeannie.
She's famous now.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. I'm honored to be sitting with all of you, and I can't thank you enough.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And we will close out tonight with the video from, again, Mark Santos, Bristol County Clerk of Courts.
Hi, I'm Mark Santos, your Bristol County Clerk of Courts. One of my office's many responsibilities, proudly, is the naturalization of qualified aliens as American citizens. If re-elected, I will continue to uphold the rights of all people in Bristol County and to make sure your Superior Court works for you. I'm Mark Santos, your Clerk of Courts, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 6th.
Paid for by the Santos Committee.
Let's get out of order now. And ending.
Am I all set? Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. Next week Tracy will be here and I will be back the third week of November with some special guests that I look forward to. And also Dr. Stacy will be here again too. We're going to talk about, this is on November 20th. Pretty sure that's the third Tuesday. And we're going to talk about holiday stress and also have a little comedy. So I'm looking forward to that. Tracy, we'll see you all next week. Have a great week.
Bye.